Hey guys, let's here bringing you another video. Welcome back to Challenge Spectate. Today we are watching Annie IRL, a very well-known Annie player. This is not Annie bot, by the way, so there's no confusion. We're on a US, not NA. But Annie IRL is floating around top 10 Challenger right now. And to be an Annie one trick, to be top 10 Challenger, it's both surprising and not sometimes. Why? Annie is so basic and one-dimensional, but with skill shots, so there is some skill to it, but she's very one-dimensional that usually the higher rating you go, one-dimensional champions in theory fall massively off. And this is top 10 Challenger. So you'd think that there wouldn't really be many basic champions up in this rating bracket. But, and this is the flip side, Annie, even though she is very one-dimensional and basic, she has a job, and her one job is blow things up, usually. And she's very good at doing that job. Especially when you actually think of the current game. Like, I will say, I've not seen a single Annie this year. Obviously, I used to play quite a lot of Annie myself. Maybe watching this game will make me go, I'm going to play an Annie game. Unfortunately, I am streaming, I will just say, right now, and I'm not playing ranked today. Unfortunately, don't want to go into too much information, but I have a bit of a dodgy tummy, and that's why I'm doing a spectate or two instead of risking solo queue and having to run elsewhere, let's say, to use a facility. But tomorrow, hopefully, it'll be all better and well. Maybe tomorrow I'll play an Annie game. So the thing with Annie, there are some good items, I think, that spring to mind. Obviously, Malignance is one. The fact that it obviously forms a circle underneath an ultimate, and most of the time on Annie, you're stunning people, and then they'd be standing in the Malignant circle. That's a great combo. And obviously, yeah, Storm Surge is very good for burst in general. So Storm Surge, Malignance, they're going to work very well. So we'll see how it goes. Now, what I also liked about this specifically game, when we were looking for a game to watch, we're against a Katarina. And obviously, I don't like Katarina, and seeing them get maybe beat is a good day for me. But one of the things that I just want to see in general is this is a challenger game. How much does the Katarina roam? Because typically, obviously, they more roam than play mid. So are they still doing that? And obviously, yes, this is just one game, but most of the time they'll be doing the same thing every game. So how would an Annie deal with an over-roaming Katarina? Will she just stay mid lane, or would she look to match the roam? Now, very interestingly, Annie is running Ignite, and Katarina is running TP. I did actually see it in the comment section, and the person was joking, but I actually think it's partially true. There was another Katarina, I think in one of my games, potentially running TP, and I was like, why have they got TP? It's basically that they can roam more or not get punished as much for roaming. So if they roam bot lane and, you know, their mid lane tower is getting absolutely annihilated, they in theory could then TP back to mid to try and save the tower or plates, etc. Now there is a play potentially happening over here. Annie has got stun up. Backs away though. Kha'Zix did get the Scuttle Crab in time. A fight might be popping off. Honestly, I don't think blue team... Okay, I was going to say, I don't think blue team win this, but then Bard showed up. So Bard showing up, bit random timing. Again, supports, I would still say, over roam more than they should. The only time, and, you know, I guess Bard is a bit of an exception because he is the roaming support. Oh, that Katarina damage. But, yeah, when the Void Grubs spawn, yeah, roam as a support, go give numbers over there. That makes sense. But that wasn't even Void Grubs spawning. So that was a bit peculiar. I have obviously heard... I've only seen a couple of Katarinas so far this year. Yeah, Katarina is apparently quite strong at the moment. Shouldn't surprise people. She falls in the weirdly... And I don't even know if people predicted it or it was said from PBE testing. The weird winners of so far season 2024 are AP Melee champions. Echo, Akali, Fizz... Katarina, a lot of them are AP Melee champs, and they are ridiculously strong. So, and obviously, yeah, there are nerfs coming. That is one thing to say. There are nerfs coming. Storm Surge is yet again being nerfed. But again, I've already said it myself. I'm a bit disappointed that Riot was selling. It's going to be the mage season. And how many mages have you seen yourself? I personally have not seen many mages in mid lane. I've more seen AP melee champions than mages, you know? So, which is a shame, but maybe with the nerfs, maybe making the AP melee champions a bit less obnoxious. Like, look, I've been playing them. So, if I've been playing them, then, yeah. Oh, okay. Hits level 6, goes for it straight away, which is a smart thing to do. Good reaction timing by the Katarina. And to be honest, if I was Annie, you need to be careful right now. Because that Katarina is going to hit level 6. And to be honest, she outplayed herself hilariously. So that Katarina is the subject of what you see sometimes with these type of champions. You just have to wait for them to outplay themselves. So, you know, Akali, Katarina, Yone, Kane, a lot of these crazy, flashy carry champions, their biggest weakness is the player that are playing them. Hilariously. And that's what that Katarina did. She must have not been far away from 6. You can see she's already level 6 in lane. She must have mistimed her engage and went for an all-in. So, if she was just a little bit more patient, hit level 6, then Annie was probably dead. But no patience. And mages, some people on Twitch they're saying mages are okay or good. They are, but in comparison to AP melee champions, they're not. In terms of ease of carrying, it is so much easier to carry a game playing Echo or Fizz at the moment than it is playing practically any mage. And that, I'm hoping in the upcoming patch, I'm hoping that will just kind of fix it. Hopefully. Hey, Skillet. So, you know, and again, if AP melee champions come down, and you don't necessarily have to buff much. That was a Katarina ult and a half. You don't have to buff much about mages at all. The biggest thing that I think that they have to buff, if you know, if I were to do any changes or buffs now. Oh my god, how many people in mid lane? I think they need to buff Ludens, is the one thing I would say. And the weird thing is, it's not... Well, it is because Ludens is weak as an item, but it's more because every mage still has it in their mind, I need to buy Ludens. Because of the last few years, mythic items, everyone buys Ludens. So mages are still buying it, but it just isn't very good. And that's a kind of an issue, you could say. But, so this Katarina, I would say, is playing quite typical Katarina, all in trying for kills. Like, I would say the weird thing that this Katarina hasn't really done yet is roam bot lane. Like, that surprises me. Because hilariously, with all the changes on the map, obviously, as we all know, top lane is harder to gank than it used to be. Mid lane is harder to gank than it used to be. For most champions, by the way. Bot lane is easier to gank. It's easier to roam bot lane as well, because you can get there through this channel the whole way down, or this channel the whole way down. Like, it's easier now to just get to bot lane. And this Katarina isn't doing that yet, which is a bit weird to me. But yeah, so yeah, I would agree. Twitch chat, by the way, is saying at the moment AP assassins, then AD assassins, then mages. And yes, I would agree. Because obviously lethality is bonkers at the moment. It's just crazy strong. So I would say, yeah, the AP assassins are the strongest, then AD assassins and AD carries that can use lethality, and then I would put mages. Which again is better than it was in the previous few years. Mages were right at the bottom of the barrel, so it's better than they've been for a long time. But when arguably AP assassins and AD assassins have both been pretty good for the last few years anyway, it kind of sucks that mages still aren't as good as them in most aspects. And tanks have strength to them. Yeah, tanks are doing okay. And to be honest, a lot in the game is doing okay. You know, there's a lot of people trying to have a big sing and a dance about fighters not being that strong. Fighters are okay. I've seen Xin Zhao's take over games, you know? I think what a lot of the time happens is fighters in the last year were crazy strong, and they're still strong, but they're not as strong as other classes. But if you're a fighter player and that's all you play, you're like, oh, we're not as strong as we used to be. Yeah, you're still strong. You can still do really good. I've seen Aatrox's take over games. You're just not obnoxiously strong anymore, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's good to change up the game, though. Again, historically, Riot used to change up the game's actual meta. And I'm not just saying, like, little balance or little champions here or there. They changed up the meta two times a year, maybe even 3 times a year, that you'd literally have different metas. yeah, they obviously don't do that anymore. We've had relatively the same meta for the last couple years. But yeah. So Katarina, presumably Nash's is going first, is her first item. And obviously the one negative you could say of an AP melee champion like Cat is if they are... Oh, that was actually a really smart play. So the reason why that Annie did that, yeah, it would have been nice if she got the kill, but that was more of a, I'm going to make you low so you can't commit to go in. If you commit to go in... Oh my god, that auto. Let's go, dude. Again, never forget autos on Annie. They actually do really well. But yeah. Oh, and then Bard is not dead. Kane got the plus 50. So that was more of a, you can't go in now. I'm safe because a Bard can't kill me. But did get the kill anyway by using Flash. Very nice by the Annie. But yeah, I was saying one of the negatives of an AP melee champion, again, their damage is insane if they can get on top of a mage. But as you're seeing in this game, if a mage is doing a very good job at distance control and is just harassing down the AP melee champ before they can even go all in, that's the control a mage can do. And obviously Katarina, you could say, is a little bit different than an Akali or a Echo or a Fizz. Those three champions that I just named can force hard engages in, you know, and, well, Echo can ult away if he's, you know, if he mucks it up or I didn't get the kill, he ults away and he's safe. Fizz, if he doesn't hit his ultimate, okay, I'm not going in on that, or he can use his E to escape. Akali's got her Shroud to escape. The one thing with Katarina, she doesn't really have that. She doesn't have that instantaneous, oh, I'm just going to leave now, I shouldn't have done that. So you can somewhat manipulate a Katarina a bit more, and that's why so often they don't lane. And it is worth saying that this Annie has been camped this game, like 100%. She has had Bard and Kane mid lane a lot. And she's still doing good. You know, she's still playing well. It's just very hard when you're having 2-3 people mid lane constantly, and this Annie is having that. She's dealing with it well. She's out farming. She's out kills. She finally dies to one of the ganks. But yeah, it's unfortunately sometimes a matter of time for an immobile mage, even though they've made it better. And by the way, I agree with this. Even though that Riot's made it better, it's harder to gank mid lane. An immobile mage without flash should eventually die if they're constantly getting ganked and they don't have flash, right? That just makes sense. And yes, so for those that don't know, I don't know why they're doing it. Obviously, there has been many conspiracy theories. I've been part of that Riot obviously never wanted to do the durability update. They hated it, but the player base in the West was dwindling because of it. Hello, Nessie. 57 months tier 2. Thanks, dude. I'll look at it after. And hello, Courage. But they had to do it because the player base in the West was very vocalized about the one-shot meta, and it was awful. And obviously, the pure one-shot meta... Oh, I'll have a look. The pure one-shot meta right now is... you do have to build one shot to one shot things. You have to be a glass cannon, you have to be squishy most of the time in order to do that damage. Back then it was, you know, you could build as a bruiser, or Echo was building half tank and he was still one-shotting people. Nice. Again, this Katarina is not adjusting her play. The Kane was mid lane again, by the way. But yeah, you do have to play one shot nowadays, but people like myself and other people, the evidence did suggest that Riot really didn't want to do the changes that they did. Bard mid lane again himself. But they did them anyway to appease the West. Riot in the upcoming patch, that when this video comes out, this might be today's second video, so it will be coming out in a day or two, the patch. I think it's in this patch. They are removing armor and magic resist in runes. And hello, Udir Lane. What? So yes, you will no longer be able to take armor or MR in your rune set, thus making, obviously, unless they're doing buffs to every champion to negate that, which I don't think they're doing, that's obviously going to lead to more damage, because in every game you don't have armor or MR from your runes. They're replacing it with movement speed and tenacity. So yeah. So I'm not sure about that one personally. I think having it armor and MR is just fine, and it's gonna sound weird maybe to say we've had many iterations of runes and masteries in League of Legends. I think the ones that we've got now, they're not perfect, obviously, but like it's fine. Like whatever, it's fine. Maybe stop touching it, because the more that they touch it, the more likely they're just going to break it again. So yeah. So Quinn obviously top lane. I'm not a big fan of Quinn, but the fact that they're against an Udyr, I'd imagine is a relatively free lane for them. I don't know why people are starting to play Udyr in lane. Obviously there must be something to it, but I don't know. It doesn't seem incredible to me. Obviously, I played my first Anivia game against an Udyr in mid, and that was just... I mean, it was stupid for him to play Udyr mid. Maybe Udyr mid could work as, you know, against the AP Melee champions, but he blind picked it. So, I don't know. Oh, it's in pro play? Oh. See, this is the problem, is pro play is not solo queue. Pro play, where it's coordinated and you're working together and you've got a game plan and your, like, you know, communication is high. That's very different than solo queue, and maybe you can make an Udyr work with communication, but it's not that solo queue vibe. So I'm not... Again, I think a lot of the League community, they do just look at pro play, go, oh, if it's in pro play, it is just equally... Like, it has to be good for solo queue, I'm going to play it. But it's not true. It's the same, it goes the other way, by the way. When was the last time you saw a Katarina in pro play? You don't. She's not a good pro play champion. She's a good solo queue champion. She's not a good pro play champion. And the opposite is also true. Just because they play it in pro play doesn't mean it's good in solo queue. So the one thing, obviously, this game is going well in is obviously mid, very good, jungle pretty good, and top pretty good. It's gone pretty bad in bot lane. So bot lane has been a relatively sacrificed lane. But, you know, they're playing Hawaii bot lane. That Katarina damage is high. But yeah, they're playing Hawaii bot lane in, and you know, let's be honest, an AD lethality meta in bot lane, like Jhin running lethality. Most AD carries are now running lethality. Yeah, Hawaii is going to struggle in lane phase, no doubt. And Bard obviously has mainly not been in lane, but Senna has also not been in lane that much either. Or... Go Tibbers! Oh, Hawaii snipes the kill, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Gets him on the board. Annie, by the way, very interesting. Cosmic Drive second item. So it's still a movement speed based AP item. I'm quite interested to why they'd want to do that. Potentially, because, you know, the whole thing with Annie is positioning to get the Tibbers off. And if you don't always have flash up, you can't always position very well to get it off. Movement speed is a very good thing for Annie. Obviously, quite a while ago now, they added movement speed to her shield, and that's actually a really nice thing for the champion. So maybe it's that. Maybe it just allows an Annie to get to the engage easier. Oh, hello, Jhin. And dead. So yeah, again, there's not really an answer for a Jhin there, to be honest. I've also just noticed that Katarina, you know, again, one of the primary roaming champions of League of Legends, has got 2 completed items without boots. Not even tier 1 boots. Obviously not tier 2 boots, but not even tier 1 boots. I think that's somewhat of a mistake, personally. That's a very squishy Udyr. Obviously, to 2 mages, he will be squishy because he's itemized against a Quinn. So, yeah. Hey, Halton says, why am I streaming you, pleb? Yeah, I'm feeling quite rough at the moment. Dodgy tummy, but I wanted to be live. I had the weekend off because of a family event. It would have been weird for me to be like, oh, I've just had 2 days off for a family event, and now I'm having another day off. I think that would have just stressed me out a little bit too much. So I thought I'd be live for a sec. And yes, by the way, I didn't want to bring too much attention to it. I will report it. Kane's name is obviously clearly awful. I will message Riot about it after the game. So, yeah. I don't honestly know how, again, especially for a high rating, you know, you're on the ladder. How's that? Okay. But again, let's be honest, do Riot have someone looking at that stuff? Like, actually, like, looking at the ladder and seeing if there's any names that shouldn't be? Yeah, Riot don't employ someone to do that. But yeah, it is what it is. But we'll hopefully get it changed. Anyway, sick days even exist in corporate. They do, but you more often not get paid for your sick days. But I also wanted to try to be live a little bit. Anyway, we're getting off tangent from the video. Twitch chat's distracted me. They're trying to be good for my health. So I thank you for that. But yeah. Build-wise, oh, just very quickly, her rune set. Some people might be interested if you want to replicate exactly what this Annie's doing. Electrocute, Taste of Blood, Eyeball Collection, Relentless Hunter, Celerity, again, movement speed, Mana Flow Band, and then Ability Power, and very interesting, Health. So not running MR, not running armor. To be honest, it sounds maybe weird to say. It might actually, well, against a Katarina, it might actually be a good thing to run health, not MR. Because obviously, quite often than not, you never know what Katarinas are going to build. One game they build AP, and the next game they build AD, and you're never really sure what they're doing. So health actually might be the better thing to do. Oh, nice stun. Yeah, this Bard is playing a little bit with fire, if I'm honest. Like, he's kind of overstaying his welcome positioning-wise. Obviously, the Kayn, thankfully, is having quite a bad game. Obviously, he's, again, another one of those champs that has kind of won out because of lethality being so strong. But they can have bad games, you know. The thing with all-in lethality champions is they are all-in champions by nature. Same with like a Katarina. And you're more likely to go 2-9 on a Kayn than you are on most champions in the game. That's the thing. Because the thing with Kayn, or let's say Rengar, I had a bad game of Rengar not long ago. I had a bad game of lethality Briar. Like, these champions, it's more likely to have bad or amazing KDAs or terrible KDAs, because no matter how you're doing, you have to do the same job. If you're playing, let's say, Annie, and you're not having a great game, well, you can position a little bit safe and you can just look for that stun and you're still fairly useful. You're ranged, you can be a bit safer. If you're playing something full lethality all in, you have to still go all in. Otherwise, you do nothing. Like, there's no point you even being there because you literally will not do anything. So that's where it is sometimes a bit of a risk. Nice stun. Had the confidence just to do it straight away. I like that. And Udyr is dead. Obviously, yes, as I've said before, he's itemized against Quinn. So that leaves him very open to dying to mainly Annie, but even a little bit her way. Item build, though. So, obviously, as we saw, rushed Malignance, then went Cosmic, then went Shadow Flame, which obviously nowadays is basically giving mages, not an execute as such, but it basically increases damage when something's below 35% health. So it's somewhat of an execute, not as good as Collector. That is an actual one, but it's good. And then I'd imagine the next item, I don't know if I'm right, well, it's either going to be Death Cap. Yeah, it's probably Death Cap. And then last item, well, with how well they're doing, it might have been a Magi, but Storm Surge maybe last item, which again is quite weird to be building Storm Surge so late with how strong the item is. But again, the thing with some of the new items, you know, Teemo is the same, that he's very good with Malignance and stuff. Some of these items are just so good with certain, especially AP champions, that you know, yes, Storm Surge is just a broken item right now, but on Annie, Malignance is so good that should be your priority. Like, no, even if Storm Surge is crazy strong, Malignance for specifically Annie most likely will be better. So this Bard, time and time again, is trying to get the Katarina. Not the Katarina, the Annie. But the Annie's doing a good job of dodging it. Oh, Banshees. Oh, okay. So decided to go Banshees instead of Death Cap or anything. And that's a defensive item, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. Annie is very ahead right now. Hello, puppies. She's very ahead right now. So having a little bit of defense that still gives 120 ability power nowadays isn't necessarily a bad thing. Hello, pups. But yeah. I have. Diana in chat just said, would I ever consider doing a video about all the stuff behind me? There is one. It's somewhat up to date. Again, it's technically not, but it's good enough. Last year, if you just go on my YouTube channel and type in HuzzyGames office tour, I did one last Christmas. No, that plushie's not for you. I did one last Christmas, and a lot of the stuff behind me is still there now. Oh, that might have been a bad bard ult. It was a bad bard ult. Because that bard is so, I don't know, obsessed with trying to ult the Annie, it actually gave Annie time for her teammates to get close and help. So just to say, it will be uploaded on Huzzy Extra. I got sent a package from Riot recently. My puppy dog really wants this. It's not for you. My mouse, it's not for you. No. So if you want to see the full unboxing, check out the Huzzy Extra channel. And you will see me unbox. Maya, it's not for you. Leave it alone. So item-wise, again, it has to be... Death Cap to me is needed. It would be very interesting to see what they do here. Do they upgrade to Magi or do they sell it? They did. Okay. See, I think Death Cap would be better. Maybe this is just an investment, and when they like, if they can afford it, they will literally just buy it in one go. Possibly, because you know they're full build now. But if they had a spare 3,000 something gold, maybe they would sell the Magi and buy a Death Cap. Because obviously, Death Cap in itself gives a lot of ability power. What is it, 140 nowadays? But then also increases all your ability power as well. So to me, that is a no-brainer needed item. But that is a surrender vote by the enemy team. Does Katarina die one more time? Yes, she does. Very nice. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. It does show you can play Annie. And if anything, you know, there was quite a lot of attention in mid lane this game. There was a lot of, you know, definitely a lot of Kayn and Bard in mid lane. I would say there was more of those two in mid than anyone else. But Kha'Zix did still come mid lane a little bit to help. You know, Senna came mid lane a little bit. Not as much as the Bard and Kayn did, but the Annie did very well. And honestly, her damage is very good. You know, we're in a one-shot meta right now. So in a one-shot meta, Annie can excel in one-shot metas. So why not? See, I might give her a go. I obviously used to play a lot of Annie. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, let me know. Let me know in the comment section. And in the comment section, give me a champion that you want me to watch in Season 2024 Challenger Spectate. And maybe if, you know, there's a bunch of comments on the same champion or something, I will watch one of those. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys next time. Peace.
Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace. Restore our Gloria to live forever. Bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power.